Oh shit.
All right. One thing that's fun is only women have ever asked us if we do video also.
Yeah, they
She
gotta
must
they
You
be.
guys
gotta
hear
look
me?
presentable. Hi.
Yes.
How does it sound? Does it sound okay?
Sounds really good, actually. Yeah.
Because
Sounds like
well,
you're about to be a gamer nerd who's gonna pwn some noobs.
these are my radio headphones. I also have a mic in case it doesn't sound good, but if it sounds good, then we're
Oh,
Sounds
it's
great.
it.
good to go. Yeah, the only problem is you can't hear yourself in them, so I feel like a shitty DJ. Like I have to leave one ear out so that I can hear myself talk.
Polly D.
Yeah,
I have the
Uh,
right.
same thing because I have the ear pods in, and they're like sound dampening. So
Yeah, sounds muffled.
um, well, hi, welcome.
Hey
Uh,
guys, thanks for having me.
happy to.
I mean, it was my
So
choice, but
Well, I
people
knew
are
that.
people are. I don't even know. We like the concept; it's fun. But since we started having guests, we kind of have to explain. Like, all right, so we'll do jokes, and you just do whatever. You can laugh. You could mute us. You can
leave
riff.
the Zoom. You can
Right.
Say,
heckle.
leave.
You can do. You're the
Whatever
audience
you need
here,
to do,
so
yeah.
You just look at your phone, whatever. So it's basically a monologue with
you
you
can steal some of the jokes and tweet them out and get way more attention.
Okay, yeah, let's go with that option. I'll just use this as a writing session, but not credit any of you. Does that sound
That's
good?
Great.
Perfect. But I know you
um,
guys follow me, so you'll be able to see it. Don't worry.
I'll retweet you. I'll be like, "This is a great joke.
Oh,
I
hilarious. I
like
wonder who
it.
wrote it.
It's fucking genius."
uh,
I'll be your ghostwriter.
Hell yeah.
um, and then we just BS. There's not that part's
You don't
also
have
not.
to.
I shouldn't say
Sorry,
also,
hold
but
on one
that's
second. You don't turn it
no.
over. Just 2 clicks, and then
Yeah,
it goes.
yeah. Oh man,
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
you're good. No, no, no. Yeah, and it was BS for a bit. I assume, want us to mention the album.
Yes, that's really the only thing. Really thrown off by the thing that my skin is the same color as this wall right now, and so I'm like trying to
Uh,
get away from it. And yeah, so just the album. It drops Friday, the 26th, February 26th. It's available for pre-order now. Just got picked up by Sirius. It's called Hillbilly Boujee.
yeah.
Yeah, it's my debut album, so I think that's all the basic stuff about it.
What was the date again? I'm sorry. The date's pre-order. I know, but what's the date?
The 26th, February
Yeah.
26th, this upcoming Friday.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, all three of our listeners pick it up and
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
say. Uh, when I got on, my virtual background was on, so I also,
He
I'm just
also
so
blends into
friggin'
the wall.
dude.
yeah.
Ohio is like the least sunny. Cleveland is like the least sunny city in the country. It's so awful. We had in all of January, we had 3 days where the sun was out. So it's
Visible.
like
Wow.
that's why
That's
people in
brutal.
Ohio were like so depressed all the time. That's why like you see Cleveland tops all the lists for depression and shit. It's because like yeah, for 7 months we only see the sun like 15 times. Like
Oh wow, that's the same Seattle too, and
mhm.
because maybe we'll have you retell your Chris Cornell joke again, as I love
Okay,
to say.
Oh man, that
Let's
was brutal.
get started. What do you say, huh?
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
do
Let's
it.
do it.
All right. Oh, and tour dates. We're gonna ask that at the top if you have any.
I don't really have any, not until April right now, but
You can share that if you want, but
okay.
cool. Welcome to welcome to Homeschool, the podcast where Andrew Rivers and I perform about 10 minutes of monologue jokes and then BS about comedy, current events, and our social lives. So just comedy and current events with a guest. This week, the guest who is acting as our live audience, her album is coming out this Friday, debut album this Friday, February 26th. It's out for pre-order right now. The entire album just got picked up by Sirius, which is an awesome, huge accomplishment. The album is Hillbilly Boujee. If you don't know how to spell it, you're probably a hillbilly. So you'll enjoy it. Mary Santora is here, everybody. Mary, hi.
Hey, hi guys. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
Hit that applause again.
Oh, there's more.
You stopped it too quick. Or did you hit the want?
I don't know. I don't know how.
There we go.
There you go.
See, that's I'm used to that. Just
Okay.
cheering roar of applause
Yeah.
across all the Zoom shows that I do. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Unmute, please. Unmute. We have a couple live dates worth promoting. But first, do you have any? You said it's maybe in April, something coming up.
Yeah, I will be in Fort Collins in Colorado, just north of Denver. I will be there Friday, April 30th and Saturday, May 1st at the Comedy Fort. And then I will be at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in July 15th, 16th, and 17th. So I'm keeping my schedule kind of light right now, but getting out a little bit.
25% capacity on your schedule.
Yeah, right?
Andrew and I are doing a co-headlining show in Enumclaw, Washington. Not trying to brag, on Saturday, March 6th. And then we're sort of flip-flopping on Sunday, March 7th. I'm going to headline a show and you're going to headline a show at Tacoma Comedy Club. Right?
I headline the 5 p.m. show and you headline the 7:30. Is that right?
Yeah, they had to give me the better time because less people.
Well, you're usually the bottom, but we let you have the top this time. But
it's the little victories, you know?
Yeah.
Watch our promo pictures and you'll see.
Is that the grass skirt one?
Yeah.
Is that what's right behind you?
Pretty sexy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that one.
All the mementos.
You keep it because it reminds you of your love, so you keep it close to you. Oh, this is my boo. This is what
it's Cory. It still smells like him on the wrong side. It smells like salmon. It's a call forward to a joke we haven't done yet. Hey, I'll be at Laughs Comedy Club in the U District, Seattle, Washington, this weekend, 26th and 27th of February. And then March 6th at the Chalet Theater with Cory. And March 7th at Tacoma Comedy Club with Cory. April 1st is Salem, Oregon. That's a new one.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get to the jokes. But first, we got to do a 3-second pause because we don't know how to edit. All right.
Welcome back to Homeschool. It's the week after Valentine's Day, and you'll never guess what disease is back.
Oh, easy. Herpes always comes back.
No. Oh, well, that too. But Ebola is back. So just to be safe, stay 6 feet away and don't shit in anybody's mouth.
Okay. All right. Guess I'll have to change my Tinder bio.
Ebola. They call that the kissing disease, don't they?
Oh,
no, I don't think they do, actually. That's funny, though.
You sure? Are you positive that's not Ebola?
I don't know how you kiss, but, you know.
I thought that's what that was, yeah.
Well, no, the kissing disease
I think she's...
is mono. Okay, yeah. Okay,
He's
sorry.
like, no, like, that's not what kissing does. Come on.
Yeah,
I've kissed so many girls. That's not what it is.
Well, I mean, that would make sense why I've never got Ebola, but... I had to change my Tinder bio back to comedian this week from unemployed.
Oh, yeah. No longer collecting that unemployment, huh?
Oh, yeah. I'm still taking their money, but I'm also performing at Tacoma Comedy Club this weekend with Damon Wayans Jr. again. Second time.
Oh, wow. Jeez. Couple more weekends with him and you'll be the newest Wayans brother. Now that your dad's retired, you got to mooch off of another family. Nepotism.
Yeah. Well, I've always wanted to wear blackface.
Oof, wow, you are not getting on the Bachelorette now.
Yeah, it's okay. Nobody listens this far into the podcast. We're going to be fine. Hey, the CDC released a list of the top 3 places people get coronavirus, according to their study. The top 3 are bars, restaurants, and cafes. So good news. They didn't say comedy clubs. We're totally fine, even though it's all 3 of those combined, but it's safe. Come to my shows.
Well, yeah, maybe a full comedy club, but at 25% capacity, the laughs aren't even contagious. So we're safe, right?
Yeah. Performing at 25% capacity makes me relate to people in a higher tax bracket because 60% of my laughs are being stolen by the government.
Right. Well, it's a funny analogy because our paychecks are laughable. So.
Oh, you think yours are? Try taking only 70% of what you make.
That's a myth, I thought, but hey, let me take this one to the bank and see what it's worth. It was a stormy President's Day, even without Trump in the White House, as white stuff covered 73% of the face of the country and really fucked us in the ass.
Oh, wow. Don Jr. It's the subtlety on that last part of that joke that really does it for me, I think.
Thank you. That's what I was going for.
Think,
Yeah.
It's a thinker. Stinker. Several million households in Texas were without power after a blizzard, with feet of snow and negative temperatures wreaked havoc across several Midwest states. Talk about white on white crime.
You have a drunk burp come up there?
I almost threw up.
Cory's hammered right now, so.
Hell yeah. Good for you, man.
All those people who moved to Austin are like, oh, yeah, that's why we lived in California. I forgot.
Yeah. You can build a wall, but you can't stop the snow Mexicans from coming over.
Okay. All those comedians that moved to Austin to do open mics with Tony Hinchcliffe. Republican state leaders are blaming the wind turbines for the freezing, which of course is totally false. But hey, never let a crisis go to waste, you know. A meme showing a helicopter de-icing a wind turbine was actually from Sweden in 2016. And we know that, of course, because our podcast is huge in Sweden.
Actually, number 7 in Norway.
Ah, that's right. Fuck you, Sweden, and your stupid fish.
Yeah, fuck you, Sweden.
Fuck you, the most neutral country on the planet.
That's Switzerland, I thought.
Oh, you're right.
Who has the army knives? I mean, no.
Swiss, you're right. Sweet.
Listen, we got into this last episode the whole time. We were
Nobody knew.
Insulting everybody. No one knew anything.
Swiss have the cheese.
And
and the knife.
Who has more holes, you or Swiss cheese?
Depends on the cut of me or the Swiss cheese.
All right. Let's cut it up.
Depending if she's cutting.
Get that cut up. Isn't that a thing people say?
Nobody's ever said that.
No, I heard it on a Ludacris album.
Nope, sure didn't.
We're gonna go get some cut.
Nope.
Go get
what
some
would that
cutty. Even
refer to?
My mom says I'm quite the cut up. That's what...
Hey, there he is.
Axe wound. All right. Let's back
to the turbine.
Yeah, they did. I don't think they could de-ice the wind turbines, but not the roads. Very silly.
That's kind of wild, right? I think this is God punishing Texas for not passing enough laws against transgender rights.
Yeah. The governor blamed wind turbines because he thought they were some type of turbine. He was like, we don't trust those turbines around here.
No turbines coming into our neighborhoods.
Stealing our jobs.
Yeah. Goddamn turbines. Build a wall so these turbines can't get in. All
right. This is actually really kind of sad. Some parents are trying to keep their children warm by burning household items like furniture and artwork and fencing. But nothing is more satisfying than burning your children's artwork to stay warm, right? What a great way to get rid of something that we all know is already trash. Just right off the fridge into the fire. Oh, and also we're going to have to eat this macaroni necklace for dinner.
Too bad Texas already burned all their books when Trump was elected.
All right. Lion.
Hit the Trump button. It's easy.
Hit the Trump button.
We were trying to come up with a punchline that was more creative, and then we're like, let's just hit the Trump button. It's easy.
The Trump button's always there.
Well, it's a Ted Cruz button. It's his taint flying. Took a trip to Cancun while most of the people in his state were freezing to death. And then he was Twitter shamed for flying back the next day. He initially lied and said he was just escorting his kids after they'd had a really tough week. Hey, man, can't blame a man for leaving the country to give his family a better life.
Exactly. That's what Republicans care about. But hey, we're happy to report Ted Cruz is back in Texas, and the burning crosses on his front yard are just to help keep his family warm. So back off. Give the guy a break, for God's sake.
Nobody knew white sheets are more insulated. That's why he wears those. It's thicker
you get
material.
it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Rush Limbaugh died of lung cancer this week. Super ironic for such a blowhard. Some folks are celebrating online, and some are angry that people are celebrating online, which is crazy. One woman I saw was like, hey, celebrating his death is going to bring on karma. Well, I kind of hope so. Being happy a racist homophobe can't be a racist homophobe anymore. Sounds like excellent karma. Bring it on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, don't you think bringing up all this stuff just reignites the controversy for people? Like, just let him die in peace, and then soon it will be a distant memory.
I mean, that's what I said every time you wanted to talk about your ex-girlfriend. If you just let the memories drift away, you wouldn't have cock-blocked yourself with Katie.
Mm.
They also tried to go to Cancun to escape you.
Yeah, she's probably on Bachelor in Paradise pretty soon. I don't know when that films, but I don't know where they film it, but let you die in peace. Those who refuse to study history are doomed to repeat it.
Well, good thing you studied Katie very, very closely because you're not going to have a repeat with her.
That makes it sound like I'm outside of her window. So, I mean, I am, so it's a good joke.
Was I not supposed to say that?
No. That would keep some things between us.
Nope.
Nope.
Portland. The cops are in the news in Portland again.
Are they having riots again?
Oh, no. They're actually guarding dumpsters at Fred Meyer stores to keep locals from taking the discarded food during a power outage. Serve and protect the produce. Well, only the white radishes. Also, this whole thing is pretty ironic because cops are usually known for creating vegetables.
Little 1-2 there. Yeah, I get it. I see what you did there.
All right.
See, I told you we'd delete the joke after that. You gotta let that one breathe, you know?
Yeah, there was one. There was a tag. Not even a tag.
There was a tag, but anyway. Hey, Chris D'Elia, speaking of crimes against humanity, Chris D'Elia released a video apology. He was always nice to me, but maybe that's because I looked 16, but I don't know. I mean, I haven't really followed it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I mean, him well. Damn it, I copied the whole quote. Damn it.
Front button. We got it wrong. The apology was 8 months after the story broke. So a little late, but I mean, Justin Timberlake's to Britney and Janet was like 20 years later. So,
well, Justin's apology was too old for Chris D'Elia to date.
And D'Elia's apology is the perfect age of a premature baby. Coincidence?
I think so.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
The apology has 500,000 views and 95% of the reactions are positive, which proves to me that celebrities aren't really cancelable unless you like throw them in jail. And even then, I think Cosby could have a best-selling book right now if he could still see.
Well, maybe he could dictate the book to somebody, you know? Put the pudding in the issue.
Go for it. He's doing it.
I can't
That was the worst thing I've ever heard.
Sorry. It sounds Scottish, and I can't.
It was like you were pooping while you were trying to say it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't even.
Like
I don't even have a
grabbing your
baseline
knees?
level to. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Well, that's pretty terrible. But that's what the fun is, you know. I mean, if the joke is written badly, just do a terrible impression, and then it'll distract it from the dumpster fire. Hey, Mardi Gras is coming up this week with bars mostly closed, so I'm guessing it'll just be a bunch of 65 and older ladies who've been vaccinated that can get out and flash their titties. So it'll be Cory's dream and Chris D'Elia's nightmare.
I think it's better having a 65 and up Mardi Gras. You know, when she lifts up her shirt on the balcony, her tits just fall all the way down to the street like a scroll, you know. Just get a better look, and then you can Rapunzel your way up.
The worst Rapunzel ever. Climb up that crepe paper skin. There's no way it doesn't rip off.
Great.
Crepe. Yeah. You got to be careful you don't get catfished. 2 people attempted to get a second dose of the COVID vaccine by dressing as elderly women.
Is that a real story, or are you just trying to make some sex dreams for me? What do you?
Well, you dream about poking dudes who dress as old women?
It was 2 women.
Fair. Hey, well, hold on to your panties because your turn for the vaccine is right around the corner. Dr. Fauci says April will be open season for the vaccine.
Open season. I don't know if it's a great idea to use a phrase that means eliminating restrictions on hunting, right? Like, hey, good news. In April, nothing will get in the way of mammals getting killed.
Yeah. The
This
timeline looks
vaccine-
bleak already. Fauci is now saying it might be July before there's a free-for-all battle to the death for the vaccine. So sharpen your battle axes. But good news, Biden bought 200 million more vaccines. Just goes to show you having a son with a drug habit can come in handy when supplies are low.
Yeah. He's a hunter.
You can wait, or you can just Mrs. Doubtfire it and jump to the front of the line.
Sex robots. Speaking of Mrs. Doubtfire,
Hello.
there we go. But not bad.
Hey, was that your Cosby impression?
That was my Cosby. Did I nail it? Yes. Perfect.
that?
Exactly what that deserved.
That was the doorstop.
Oh, okay.
It just got inside me. Sex robots said machines would take over the world after her personality was cranked up to the maximum realism level during an interview at the Real Doll Factory. That's crazy.
Yeah, now that's amazing dirty talk. I mean, these robots really know what gets me hard. Death to America.
She's the only
It's
sex
awesome.
worker who can go with full personality.
Yeah, right.
Not for her looks. I like the rubbery crepe texture.
Got
This
it.
part fold up, or
They are.
It goes
pretty
back in the
realistic.
closet with me.
You're in the closet. Oh wow.
Well, not anymore.
Come out, Andrew.
Come on out.
They are pretty realistic. My ex-girlfriend just laid there and insulted me also. So
Well, having a sex robot is realistic because even the robot fakes its orgasm.
talk about an inside job.
I
I don't even know.
need a robot that'll laugh at my jokes.
Yeah. Well, they actually have that.
Well, sorry, Katie. Looks like I'm off the market 2021.
They also have these robots that will tell jokes, I read, which is like, we're going to be out of jobs forever. They can't spread COVID.
Well, I'm already 75% out of a job, so I'll just move to Australia because Australian unemployment is already back to pre-pandemic levels. It's crazy. I mean, imagine could have been doing if they didn't have shutdowns and wear masks, but instead focused on saving the economy.
The opposite side of the world, Alaska, a woman was using a outhouse and got bitten by a bear on her ass from inside the toilet bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it does make sense the bear is hiding in a honey bucket.
When reached for comment, the bear was like, "Hey, I smelled salmon."
Oh, hey, talk about getting catfished.
He comes
Alright.
up just like, this hole was just right.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's it.
Speaking
Speaking of
stinky
smelly
pussies,
pussies, we have a guest this
Andrew.
week.
Cory, everybody, welcome to the stage. There he is,
Andrew.
smelly pussies. This
Said
guy.
Cory. Mary, don't call me Santorum. Santora is
Yes.
on the podcast. All right. It went away quick. But,
That's
Gosh, it's
hey, there it is.
I don't know what's
yeah.
going on. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't.
So yeah, that's what we do. The first part. It's fun. Whatever.
I
Now
like
we-
it. I didn't want to feel like I was
You did great.
overstepping, but you told me to riff.
When,
so
I
was
mean,
like,
when you,
okay.
yeah, whenever you have a, it's just about like, when you have something funny, some people just aren't that funny, and that's
Well,
the
there you
problem
go,
we run
yeah.
into.
I also do that for a living on the radio show. Is we just
Exactly.
cover news topics
Yeah,
and jump
yeah.
in when you know.
What? Yeah, that's right. Is that I'm ignorant because I don't live in Cleveland.
Mhm.
Is it syndicated elsewhere? Is it just in Cleveland? Is it every morning? What is it?
So it's Monday through Friday. It's called the Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS, or anywhere for free on your iHeartRadio app. But yeah, it's not syndicated anywhere. It's Monday through Friday from 2 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, we podcast it all out so you can get it anywhere where podcasts available. And it's basically exactly what we just did, but 4.5 hours. And there's
Yeah.
talking in and out of
Yeah.
your life or whatever it might be. But yeah, it's really awesome. I couldn't have landed that job at a better time, to be honest with you.
Wow. Yeah.
When did you get that job? Like right before the pandemic, right?
January of 2020.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I almost didn't take it because I had saved up a bunch of money. I saved up my stand-up money for like a year and a half, and my lease was up in June of 2020, and I was going to go to New York. And it was like I've been trying to move
Oh
to New
my
York.
God.
I've been trying to move to New York since I was 3 years into comedy, but something always comes up. And then they offered me this job in I was filling in, and then they offered me it to come on full time in like December, and I was like, I don't know. I'm supposed to go to New York. I have this place lined up, yada yada yada. And then I was like, I'd be a idiot. I'd be an absolute moron not to take this job. It's an afternoon talk radio show. I am already familiar with the guys on the show. We have so much fun. It's such a great show. So I took it and I was like bummed out, like, man, I don't get to do I'm not going to go to New York yet. And then sure as shit, two months later, I was like, oh, that was the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I mean, you've probably imagined, yeah, but damn.
Yeah. So
That's great. I love New York too. I mean, it just makes so much less sense as someone on the West Coast who's done comedy for 12 years to go all the way over there. Like, you'd lose so much work, all the stuff that I drive 2-3 hours away or whatever. But,
well, that's how it is living in the Midwest. Like being in Cleveland, I am a 7-hour drive from most places, including New York City. You know what I mean? And there's so much work in the Midwest. And if you have a car and you're willing to go, I mean, you're just a couple hours and then you can string together those runs so easily that it's like, I'm definitely not going now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Have you noticed like an increase in draw in Cleveland and like anywhere else?
Because of the radio show?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely Cleveland. I mean, that's obviously our home base. I'm born and raised there. I recorded my album at Hilarities in December, which is Cleveland's comedy club.
Yeah.
And when I was originally in talks with the record label, because they have Helium Comedy Records, they have Helium Comedy Clubs all over the country. So I was worried I'd have to do it there, and then things happened with COVID. One thing led to another. I was like, because in Indianapolis or wherever I am, I'm like, nobody knows who I am. It's going to be an off night, and things lucked out. We were able to do it in Cleveland, and we sold out 3 of the 5 shows. So it was even at half capacity or whatever. So it was really awesome. Yeah.
Good. And you've been listening, I've seen, and editing, and are you sick of it?
I was, to be honest with you. It was like, because we recorded it in early December, and then I got the sets back in probably 2 or 3 weeks after, so at like the end of December. And it was just going over it and listening and what works best here and just all of the like maneuvering, because I hadn't done stand-up like 45 minutes. I hadn't done a full hour like that in months. I've done Zoom shows here and there, but to like run the whole set, I basically took the first 2 shows of the weekend as like practice, and then it was like, all right, here we go. So it was, changing a word around or which I'm actually really glad we had 5 shows to do that, because I was rusty, just like anybody would be, But it was a lot of listening back to the sets over and over again, to the point where you get to this. I'm just like, none of this is good. Like, nobody's gonna laugh at this. I can't stand to hear my own voice for 1 more minute,
Yeah.
And
That's how I
then,
feel
so
about
you didn't
Andrew
take
now.
any like live dates or anything around, or
Well, there wasn't much to take, to be honest with
Yeah,
you. It
yeah.
was I found out about it in October. And the way they wanted me to do it was to travel to the clubs and stuff. And then, but the way with COVID was rising and the money and the
Yeah,
this and
yeah,
the
yeah.
hotel, like it was just one thing on
Yeah.
top of another that was like a perfect storm of it ending up being in Cleveland. So
crazy.
I don't know if
Like,
anybody's.
did you
go
like
ahead.
practice it in your bedroom, like looking at the wall? Like I did that a bunch because after that first layoff of like 3 months where like everything was shut down, I was like sitting there going like, I don't even know I don't even remember my act or like whatever, you know?
Well, dude, having to listen back to like old sets and shit
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
just trying to remember how things flowed into one another. And like I did a Zoom headlining set the week of.
Okay.
And that was so rocky. And like even just trying I even had my notes because it's Zoom.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
had
yeah,
my
yeah.
notebook and I was just my transitions were shit and I like couldn't. It was so rough. So I was just like I said, very excited to have more than one show. But like I'm sure you guys know when you're in the groove and you're doing
man.
30 weeks a year and you're fucking out there and it's like oil, water off a duck's back, just whatever. Nothing could happen here that I'm not in control of. But then when
Right.
you're out of that shape where you're just like every little thing is like, God damn it, why'd I say it that way,
Yeah. Well, especially 25% capacity or even 50% capacity, it's like there's less kinetic energy, like it just doesn't hit as well. It doesn't, and so sometimes I feel those soft jokes way more. Where they're
Yeah,
like
definitely.
they're not worth throwing out, but they just don't, they keep it moving.
Right.
And
And then those are the
sometimes it
ones that
just
get
doesn't.
nothing.
Yeah, and then you're
You're
like,
like, whoa. You're
fuck,
like an idiot.
like
Yeah.
yeah, you're like I'm trying to build momentum, and it's just nothing. But
Yeah,
Well,
a
I
joke
did.
that
Go ahead.
kills kind of still kills, or
right,
feels like a joke that just is a throwaway. Yeah, like it's you. That'd be so defeating. I haven't done a lot of that yet.
Well, I like I said was
25%.
very lucky people showed up in Cleveland. So even at the half capacity, they knew it was a recording too. So I think
right, yeah, that
people
helps.
bring a different energy into a recording.
Sure. And
And
50 is
so
good. I mean, I've done Oklahoma City a couple times just because our buddy runs the club, and they're at like 60%,
mhm.
65% or something like that. And that's like you're like, okay, this is just like a a casino gig or whatever where it's kind
Yeah,
of spaced out or whatever, and you're like, it's yeah, that's
it's
close
fine.
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hilarities is that they're normally 400 and we were
Yeah.
sitting around like 170, I think,
That's
160,
great. Yeah,
170.
you're fine
So
then.
that's still a lot of people,
Yeah.
even with all
I
the
forget
spacing
that's
and
such a
everything.
huge room too.
It is, yeah. Well, it's a theater. It's got the whole
Yeah.
balcony and everything like that, and the room goes back further than you think, But
Right.
yeah, so it was an absolute blast.
Great. I've never been, but I'll have to visit.
I watched a show there and it was amazing.
What were you doing in Ohio or in Cleveland?
I think I was there used to be this guy that would book these things called like the boob tours, or like they were like raise the woof, and it was like
Oh yeah.
it was like a breast cancer awareness, and then it was like homeless dogs or so, I don't know anything. But
Not the people. We're raising money for the
no,
homeless
we're
dogs,
trying to
not their
save the
humans.
dogs.
Yeah,
But
his
so I
name,
think he used to book Cory and me, and he would book like 3 or 4 shows in a row somewhere. And
mine were all in Canada for that guy.
yeah, I did a bunch in Canada. I basically did like maybe Youngstown and like some show in like a Denny's in Cleveland or something like that. They weren't
Yeah.
all like great shows, but I've been around there and hung out and had off nights and stuff.
The Denny's in
I know
Cleveland
people-
gig. That's a good gig.
It would
It's
actually
always-
look it up. It was a Grindstone Tap House. Does that ring a bell for anyone?
Man, I was gonna say the gig at Denny's is always a grand slam.
Oh, I like that. I'm sorry I wasted it for you. But
It's okay.
we still got it off.
There you go. I'll just shamelessly throw in the bad puns. Don't worry about me.
This is why you're on the radio and no one listens to this podcast. So
Oh, you guys, come on.
Cory's very famous. He's got like 70 million views on the internet. So
I thought you had that many too.
That's my OnlyFans.
That's
yeah,
your
yeah.
only what?
My OnlyFans.
Oh. Yeah, he did just say on the internet. It had nothing to do with stand up.
No, I didn't
you
mean
were
his
famous
dry
for.
bar clips. I meant his photos of his butthole have been viewed millions.
I wish
and
they'd
millions.
stop posting those dry bar clips, but whatever.
Less embarrassing than showing your butthole.
Someone came at me recently in this other weird, and they were like, "This is your comedy," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a terrible
Representation.
You're totally right."
That was recorded 4 years ago. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm very young.
Well, so many people I feel like have gotten them in the last couple years that it's the same thing. Like my buddy is recording one here soon. In the next couple weeks, he's recording one. And he asked me, he's like, would you do it? And I'm like, that would be the worst representation of me because I could do 30 minutes clean. But if that's what you're expecting to see when you come out, you are going to be sorely, sorely mistaken. Like,
That's so when I talked to Kelsey Cook a bunch about it, she had the same like battle, and I was like, I would do it, but I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think people
declining.
come out expecting a clean show unless you advertise it as a clean show.
Yeah,
you don't think so? That if that's what they know you from, that's what they'd be expecting? It's like when you see Bob Saget on TV and then you see his stand-up and you're like, oh my God.
And
like
he
this
kills and sells theaters. So, I mean.
We haven't found that. We also aren't like that, you know. Like I know.
I mean, I've used them specifically for advertising. Like, I don't know. So this is the thing is like, I don't think it's gotten me enough that people are like, we got to see that guy from that thing. But if I post it, people are like, if I use it in an I've sold like 200 seats at a theater.
That's what I'm
just
saying.
using the advertising. But I don't know. I am clean enough anyway that I could probably get away with people being disappointed. But I've not heard any feedback.
The problem. Go ahead. Sorry.
See the ads. Sorry. People that see the ads aren't following the dry bar page.
Sure. Oh, that's true.
I guess just see a clip. They don't
That's
know.
true. Yeah. I run into more when it comes to clean work is that I'm pretty dark. And so I'm not dirty. Like I'm not talking about sex or drugs or anything like that. I'm not I'm just even if it is a perfectly clean bit, because like we submitted to the Serious Clean stations, and they're like, oh, they didn't take any of them, and I was like, man, why not? And he's like, well, it's kind of heavier material than like the do put it on while the kids are in the car. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, I gave you unsolicited advice on that, and they didn't accept very much of mine either. To clean, and I'm like, it's clean, and they're like, that's not what we need, no.
Like you're thinking like, it's like, but you still kill the person through suicide in the joke. So it's like not really what we're going for.
It's a clean suicide.
Right.
Yeah.
How much more clean than a hanging can you get, right?
Exactly. No drip, nothing.
No cleanup, absolutely.
No throw up, nothing.
I run into that. I mean, I opened for John Crist a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago now, and he's this big Christian comic, and he was like giving me this lecture in the green room about like, you gotta be clean, whatever. And then I went out, I had great sets, but the whole time I'm like, is this like, can I say like sexy librarian? Is that too dirty, or is it because it implying sex or like, whatever. And then he like comes out, I watch his set, and he did a joke about wanting to kill himself and going to sex therapy and all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. But it's also like he can get away with that probably.
Right.
But,
well, they know him, they're familiar with it, and they like then it's kind of racy. It's like, oh, did you see? You know what I mean? Whereas if you do it, they're like, this opener was filthy, like I've run into that before where you're like supposed to be clean. I opened for one guy years ago. I was probably 2 years into comedy, and they were like, it has to be church clean, like clean. And then when I got there and I was like nervous, I was hosting, so I was only doing like 7 minutes. But he went up and he was so filthy, like, so he was going for the shock of it, where like the whole show up until him is clean, and then I'm not kidding, like he was walking to the stage and was like, The first words out of his mouth were, "Which one of you's on your period? I can smell it." And I was like, what? Because I didn't realize that was a tactic at that point. I was just like,
Of course.
I only had one pad left. I don't know.
Oh God.
But yeah, so
Well-
I didn't realize that was something that people did too, where they intentionally kept their openers clean so it would like have the shock value or whatever.
Okay.
But I was like, he's ruining the show.
I think that still has a shock value. If you don't need me to not swear
wants
for
to
you
be
to
the
come out and
first.
go, I smell blood. Like,
Right.
How clean do you have to be for that to that be? But he wants to be the first to say anything dirty. I've come across a bunch of comics like that too. And then like Louis Anderson, he's like, nobody's gonna like you. They're gonna hate you. My fans won't tolerate dirty. And I'm like, okay. And then as a riff one time, I was like, oh fucking, I just said fucking, like, or motherfucker or something like that. But just as a audience riff interaction, and as I was walking off stage, he was like, Cory, you are so fucking dirty, like in my ear. And then he went up and got the mic, and I was like, oh, so sorry. I was sweating it the whole time, but I think he just meant my body. So
Yeah. He's like, no, seriously, take a shower tomorrow. People are taking pictures.
with
Like,
me.
please.
Yeah.
It's a
Let's
big
go.
deal.
So what do you work? I mean, you got the album coming out, obviously you're promoting and everything, but and you're doing the radio show, but like, do you feel like you're breathing and taking a break, or is it like now I gotta fucking?
Well, I'm just anxious to see what happens. You know what I mean? Like I've worked, it's just so long in the making. I'm 9 years into comedy and it's my first album. And so it's just like all this build up and I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. Like I have a bunch of people who support me and I have no reason to be nervous and the clips sound great. And I've used the analogy before where I feel like I'm sending my kid off to school for the first time, where I'm like, I've been in control of everything until this point. I hope you're cool. I hope you make friends. And I don't want people to beat you up and shit on you. You know what I mean? So I've got that like still kind of nerves where I'm proud
That's
of it.
my feeling of like when I send an unsolicited dick pic, I'm like, hey, it's been cool. I hope it goes well.
It works for
think
me.
I think
Like-
it's good, but you might hate it. I'm sorry.
We like hanging out, so hopefully you guys like hanging out.
Look, if you just please don't shit on me.
I'd take it.
But yeah, it's been I'm not really booking much, just because I'm at the point where, I mean, I don't mean to be a downer or anything, but my dad just passed away from COVID like 6 weeks ago. So it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, like, so it messes with me mentally a little bit where I'm like, I know I'm pretty much only going to clubs that I am 100% certain are doing all the protocols correctly, because I'm not going to take the extra 2 days off work. I'm not going to fly or drive or whatever, or put myself up in a hotel only to feel unsafe. So I'm just being like extra careful right now when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't think anybody can blame me for it hitting a little close to home, you know? So I'm just kind of taking it easy and even giving it a few more months. Like I said, I'm going out at the end of April. So giving it a few more months of vaccinations and protocols and yada, 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 so that then I think it's basically once a month from there on. Like I have one gig the first weekend of May and then one in June, one in July. We'll see how it goes. And then.
And as things open up, they'll start booking, people will start doing everything.
Right. So
People
hopefully
will be
by
reaching out.
fall, I'm hoping to
Yeah.
be back to like every other week or something like that. So we'll see.
Do you feel pressure to be like following all the rules perfectly just from like people watching you, like, oh, is she gonna
We
like,
talked
in
about this.
Seattle,
Go ahead.
we're anxious in general just because there's a lot of like, should we be
Everyone's
doing
trying to
shows
get
right now?
canceled and cancel people, and there's all this people are shaming
like-
people for working and
Making it political, and
yeah.
it's definitely weird. I don't know that there's that much pressure, but and I go back and forth on this stuff because when COVID was first happening, I was very much so in the, if you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it, and whoever's gonna die was probably already gonna die, and you have to still live your life. Like that's who I was. When things opened back up last summer, I was like, I'm going to work, I'm going to do this, I know I'm going to be safe, and that's all I can worry about. So, which isn't the best approach to it. I mean, I was still doing things correctly. I was still social distancing, wearing my mask, hand sanitizer, yada, yada, yada. So there's still some of that in there, But then with everything with my dad, I go so back and forth on it where it's like,
Sure.
I'll go do something and then I'll feel really guilty about it. And then I'll stay home for 2 weeks and get 2 COVID tests. And then I'm like, okay, so that was okay. You know what I mean? Like kind of just dipping my toe back into the water before I can feel fully comfortable, I guess. I don't know.
Totally. Yeah. That's the same excuse I give for sex. I just, it's unsafe and I don't want to dip my toe in until I know. That's my fetish.
Dipping your toe in?
Yeah.
Which part?
The
Where do I
pinky
dip
toe.
it or which part of my toe? What are we talking?
Both.
Anywhere. Well, we're doing local stuff, so we're like, and it's 25%. I just feel like you can't expect people to do more than the laws and the rules are allowing.
Right.
Like
100%.
a lot of
And
expectations of Seattle comedians to be like, you shouldn't be doing shows right now, and I'm like, you want me to go above and beyond what doctors and public health experts are saying is okay? I mean, why would you expect me to do?
Yeah, we're like the
more
last
than
people
that?
open anyway. So
And that's
Right.
what I would say to people. I'm like, there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And the wrong way to do things are the places I'm not going. Like, I'm very, very spoiled and lucky to have
Yeah.
Hilarities, who I know is one of the best clubs in the country. So they're getting like right now, they're getting the headliners that should be doing theaters are coming back to these clubs. And they're doing everything so right that now I'm like, I don't really need to leave. Like, I can work right here. I can polish this new stuff because I just recorded the only hour I had. So now I
Yeah.
have 8 minutes that I need to work on anyway. So like realistically having a new 45 or a mostly new 30 by April with no open mics, like I'm
Yeah.
completely fine waiting. Like I'm not
do you
I'm
have
not
a
serious.
specific writing process?
So I have a very strange, I guess, I don't know. I never realized how much
I love hearing about it.
Yeah, I never realized how much I wrote on stage until the stages were gone. So I always, for like the first maybe 2 or 3 years in comedy, I wrote out every single bit I ever did, a word for word, exactly how I was going to say it. And I would rehearse it and I would, and I think that was just part also not being comfortable on stage. You know what I mean? Where you can't really get into a groove because you have to remember everything you're going to say.
Yeah.
So I did that for so long. And then I was doing a show and it didn't go well. And I was talking to another comic and I was like, man, I don't understand. I had it rehearsed. I knew exactly what I was going to say, yada, yada, yada. And he was like, well, your writing voice and your speaking voice are not the same voice. He's like, so you might just not, it might not translate. Like your writing voice might just not translate to the stage. And after he said that, I kind of stopped being so committed to things and it changed everything because I was just so much more comfortable and it had so much more fun. Whereas now I kind of have the premise, I know what I want to talk about, and then I have the punchline. And then I figure out how I get there on stage. So it's almost like working backwards where I know where this joke's going to end. I know this part will get a laugh. And then I go on stage and figure out how to get there. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So I don't know, it keeps it fun, it keeps it interesting, and it I think it forces you to be funny. Because when you go up there and you're like, all right, I know I'm going to get here and that'll get a laugh. How can I get there and when can I tag it? And so I think it makes you be more in the moment and then gives me that more conversational style that I prefer,
Yeah.
But
I have a couple new jokes that I can tell are because they're from the podcast, like they're from doing this for, 9 months or whatever. And then I've said, like I was at Stir Crazy in Phoenix and when I said them, I was like, that's so like, da 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 da, pause,
Yeah.
punch.
right.
All right.
I've never been great at those, like delivering. I feel like they're a hard like type of joke to deliver non-rehearsed. Does that make sense? Like a one-liner is very difficult for me I think to like work into something naturally. Like I have a new chunk about my dad dying and the last 3 jokes are like boom, 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 but they sound like monologue jokes. You know what I mean? Because they're the first ones I wrote. They're pretty analytical, but so it's like flow, 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 and then it's like little snippet of a monologue joke. So it's a hard yeah,
Set
hard
up,
thing to do, I
transition
think.
Phrase, punch. You're like, all right. Well, we'll get, it'll, I mean, surprisingly to me, the virtual shows can be pretty good. The one we did was, I know you were feeling like it was
You hosted for me.
probably, yeah, so helpful.
That was the show that I said was all over the place, and that was the virtual show before my recording where I was like, I don't know what the fuck is happening right now. Like this is. I forgot that you did that.
And we kind of BS a little bit just because of like my experience recording an album or whatever, and how, I mean, it's going to be yours. I mean, I know you're maybe a little anxious, but one, it's going to be great and people are going to receive it well. It's going to probably be number one because of just, there's not like, it's how long you had pre-order, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've seen your following, like it's gonna, so that's really exciting. And then it's gonna make you money, which is fun.
Dude, that was the thing when I found out that Sirius took the whole thing. Because, like, I focused on trying to do at least a couple bits clean. That was my focus, was like, let's get a couple bits on the clean station because that's what gets played the hell out of it. You know what I mean? And so I was so hyper focused on those couple bits. And I think only 4 out of 18 ended up being clean. And I was like, okay, if they take 1 or 2 of these, I'll be really happy. And then I got the email saying they took all of them. And I was like, get the hell out of here. Like, because just for so long, when you're doing those one-nighters from city to city to city, you're spending all of your money. Like, you're lucky to come out with any money if you didn't lose it, you know, because you went ham when you were high at the gas station and bought $60 worth of snacks. You know what I mean? Like, so it just, I started, yeah, right. What made me the most
That's
like
Cory's hooker's name.
snacks. He met her at the gas station.
Yeah.
3 X's.
Yeah. Kit Kat, Big Cat over here. But just that thought of not having to, even if it's just like, if I get played 10 times a month, my car is paid for. And that's like, it just alleviates that pressure, that financial pressure of something sitting on your chest all the time is like, oh my God, I'm very excited about that.
That's what I asked Snacks to do, sit on my chest. But
Shit on your chest.
Dip the toe in.
Dip the toe in, Snacks. You will have passive income, and it's so nice to have passive income, and it's been really nice this last year.
I'm sure.
Andrew, we did find maybe you worked with Helium, maybe switch over to them.
Well, dude, I got them through that coast to coast roast that we did, Andrew. So I'm sure, and you did so well in that. I'm sure that if
we did pretty well. You know, there's interesting. My manager is he runs the Stand in New York City, but now there's like an article coming out that's like, this guy in his free time spends it on alt-right message boards and all day. I follow him on Twitter. He follows me back, but he never likes any of my tweets, and all he does is argue with people. And so like, it's a little bit annoying that I'm like, they were supposed to put out my special. A company liked it, and they were like, hey, we're going to put it out in July or whatever. And then July kind of rolled around. I was like, what's up? You know, anyway, the long story short, they just kind of every 3 months I would be like emailing them, and then they'd be like, oh, we don't like the audio quality. And I'm like, oh, well, you didn't tell me that 6 months ago when you were saying it was good.
This is your management you're talking about?
This is the record label. And they're like, hey, we can't get a hold of your manager. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. He should tell me this, or someone could tell me this. I could have put this out a long time ago, whatever. And then I'm like, hey, I got this 25 minutes of new COVID jokes I just recorded. I could put that together for you, whatever. And they didn't respond. And then I just put it out on YouTube. And so, I mean, it got 100,000 views, but
fuck yeah, dude.
You know, the whole, it's just it's kind of annoying right now to
deal with.
I'm not thrilled with my people. I mean, you know, but I also don't know like what I'm allowed to complain about, because it's like, I'm not giving them any money for anything.
That was my question. So, and I'm ignorant to this. I don't have any representation. I don't have a manager. I don't have an agent. And I don't even know if this is an appropriate thing to ask. Why don't you fire them?
I mean,
Like,
I
why
don't
don't
know if I can. It's also like, can I even do better? You know, like that's
Well,
what's
if
going
you
on.
have personal, and this is something I've always built on that I've been so nervous to get a manager. No, I've never been approached by an agency. I would like to make that incredibly clear. But
Right,
I've
right.
had people be like, "Oh, you should use my manager. You should use this." I feel like when you have those interpersonal connections and you already have an in with a booking agent or
Yeah,
whoever. Like, why would I throw someone who doesn't know them and doesn't know me that well? Like, why would I throw someone in the mix if they're just gonna fuck it up?
right.
And I
Yeah,
and I
so
don't know
I've
if
got to
I'm
reach out
sorry
to these labels. No, I mean,
if I'm overstepping or anything like that. I don't.
I've had them for 2 years. I mean, like I got them, and immediately they were like, they got me on Bring the Funny, and then I don't even know if we've told this story on the podcast, but a week before filming the TV show for NBC, they just cut me from the roster and like didn't even call me. They just were like, I started driving to LA, and it was like the day before, and I was like
You hadn't heard
leaving a
anything.
message for the producer, like, hey, I haven't got like a call time or anything. And then like 30 minutes later, my manager called me, and I was like, oh, there's this whole conversation behind closed doors I'm not being told
Privy to.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like that. That
And
seems
so the
that's like
same
so
thing
fucked
happened
up.
with
Like,
like, yeah. I'm
so
like,
why
see, at
even?
least CC me. I'm the guy. Like
Right.
I have feelings, you know? Like, come on.
That's what I mean. Where it's like if and maybe I'm a bit of a control freak. I know I'm a control freak. I know
Sure.
that. Like when my boyfriend and I started dating, I wouldn't let him do my dishes because he was doing them wrong. So like I know that I have too many issues with that.
But
When
also
it,
it's my career, and it's
yes,
like
yes, when it comes to
yeah,
something that's so
there's a whole
close to
thing
you,
of like no one's gonna work harder than me because I depend on it, and
that's
it's my
yeah.
pride, and it's my word, and it's my everything. You know, this is what I've dedicated 12 years of my life to. So like, you know, can I be involved? Can you at least CC me on an email once in a while? But that's for like 2 years, and you know, and then I got a December. I had a Tonight Show audition with the booker at like a big comedy club in New York, and like it went really well. And my manager was standing next to me the whole time, like a proud father that I never had. Like, that's my guy. And like all these people are like, oh, we were ahead of CAA, and well, we'll get in touch with your guy, and we'll get. And I'm like, great, let's do it. You know, and my manager is like, hey, my last client that did one of these things and did that well got a Tonight Show spot in a year. And so that was almost my mindset going into 2020, where I was like, oh, if I bust my ass, I can get a Tonight Show spot in a year because they've already seen me or whatever.
Right.
And then I was like, I can get the ball rolling from that. But then now there's no Tonight Show for the last year. And
Yeah.
so you're like, so this is kind of interesting in the way of like, does traditional representation matter? Does that like, because even talking
Live
to our friends
anywhere.
that have late night spots, it doesn't help you sell tickets. It doesn't, you know, our friends that got on Bring the Funny, they're not draws. Like,
Well, I
so
think
in a
that's
certain element, I'm just like, you guys have your own thing going on, and I'm gonna just focus on, you know, trying to blow up on YouTube or TikTok or something, because that's the only thing that really seems to make a difference for comics.
That's exactly what I was going to say is that I don't know so much that it matters about representation that because there's so many of these platforms where your manager doesn't have shit to do with your TikTok. You know what I mean? Like these people who are absolutely not comedians, but they can do a jump cut video that gets millions of shares. And then it's like they're selling more tickets because you know what I mean? I'm speaking from total ignorance. Like
Yeah,
I said,
I
I have
mean,
no
me too.
representation, but
No one tells me what's going on. That's yeah.
well, and that's what I'm saying. Where it's like I could know just as little on my own and not have to
Yeah.
deal with you.
Yeah.
It seems like more of a headache.
But
to
the
me.
other thing, that's the thing is too, like I've never paid them a cent. They've gotten me, you know,
Okay,
a
then,
few
yeah,
headline
that's different.
gigs here, and like they have the House of Comedy Clubs, which I get to headline every year usually, and so
Yeah, initially, especially from my perspective as your friend, it's like you still have done everything you would have done on your own, and it's not like you stopped or slowed down or didn't do anything. And
right
initially, they were getting you like some pretty cool, like really good paid work.
opportunities. Yeah.
Oh, okay, wow. Um, so there's been all these benefits, but it's like
But maybe it's just this last year where it's like no one. He doesn't even own a comedy club right now.
Nobody's
owns,
doing
like, a
anything right
restaurant,
now.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
So okay, you're right.
So that part of me is like, what? I'm gonna jump
ship.
the only guy who's ever even looked at my video for more than 10 seconds, you know. But even
That's
that,
true.
I like, hey man, I just hit 100,000 views. Like, you could go, hey, congrats, or like, you know, whatever. I'm not saying I need like a round of applause here, but I'm just saying.
But I think you could make that same argument for why there should be more interaction with you the last year. Like, what are they doing? You know?
Yeah.
Why not?
They have nothing else going on.
Person who's trying to win the pandemic at your level, why not be like, oh, hey, this is somebody who, I mean, you know, if someone would have paid attention and been like, oh, I'm going to manage Andrew Schultz, you know, 2 years ago or whatever, if he was willing, could have, because Andrew kept doing all those things he did on his own. It's not.
Yeah, and I think like almost like, man, if Dry Bar would give me another special, if that thing got 100,000 views just on my little YouTube channel, then, you know, imagine what it would have done for Dry Bar and all, you know, and or NBC or who, you know, whatever. But then it's like, this is the other thing too, is like people don't watch Epics. Like we were gonna put my special on Epics, and they filmed some stuff, and shout out to all my friends on Epics. I hope everyone plays your special 100 times. But I mean, the numbers, this like the attention of people is not on these HBO specials or you know, anything besides like Netflix or like what, you know, some of that stuff just doesn't really.
Yeah, more people.
And even some guys are on Netflix and don't have anything. So
yeah.
It's a dying art form, is what you're saying.
And,
this is, so life is done, and
yeah, it sucks.
Drive your car into the river because nobody's ever gonna make it.
and
put an album out. I'm telling you, that's.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
I know it's not that easy because it's like whatever, but.
Well, yeah. Hopefully, laughs. I think
helpful to me. So.
Yeah, I think I'll have enough. That's the other thing too. Is it's like the thing in Oklahoma was like it wasn't great to me, but it was good enough for what it was. But now that I've had, you know, I've been working a little bit more consistently the last several months. So like, I think now the new stuff is like, you know, ready to go.
Getting a little more polished up.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's the crazy thing about like,
yeah.
About like not having open mics and stuff.
And towards the end of every episode, we do just a little quick therapy session with Andrew, and then
yeah, it's just I gotta not kill myself, and
that's okay.
It's fine. No, it's fine.
We'll figure it out.
That's all good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, was this interesting to anybody? This is probably not interesting to anybody listening. Does anybody?
I think people listen about, you know, there's this is our first podcast we've talked about anything comedy related, so I think.
Oh, seriously?
I miss it.
I know.
I was like, did I derail it? Were we not supposed to?
Fine.
Okay.
No,
we just have had more interesting things to talk about, I guess, instead of
dickhead. Jesus, it's like you come on and you don't have shit to say, so we just do inside baseball that no one's gonna listen to.
Just teasing you.
I know.
How about those Browns?
My goodness.
Hey,
so
Progressive
great.
Field is getting a new team. Do you care about any of that stuff? Does Cleveland care?
The Indians name change? Yeah, absolutely.
Do people in Cleveland go like, yeah, this is kind of.
Well, it's long overdue. I don't think there's two schools of thought. There's this should have happened 20 years ago, and then it's our culture. We've been, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why it's like it was, because it's not offensive to you. Like it has nothing to do with you, man. And I think people. It's funny because it's like these Clevelanders get so upset.
Of course, you don't see a problem with it. You're a white guy.
Why would you? You know, I got the chief tattooed on my arm. We're like, yeah, we know. You know, but like people get so upset.
Your family
about
took over his village, so that's fun.
Right. They get so upset and they're like, they're changing the whole culture of the game. I'm like, literally nothing's changing. All your memories.
They change
are still
logos
there.
every 5 years. They change whatever. It's fine. It's a game. Who gives a fuck?
I actually had a
the stadium is like X-Lax Field or whatever. It doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah, like they're always rebranding it, but people just get so hung up and they just want this anti-PC. You gotta admit, man, I'm in Ohio, okay? Like we're in the middle of just, there's a couple cool little pockets and then everything else, like a lot of the middle of the country where you got the major cities and then everything else is a nightmare. And it's just people aren't
Way
going
to
to
pick up
change.
the mood, it really helps.
Well, there are those people who are just so against it and they think it's the worst thing you could ever, like they take a personal affront to it where it's like, we're not erasing the memories you had with your dad at the stadium. Like that's not just, they're just changing the name, dude. Like relax,
They're using a different shade of yellow. It's fine.
It's gonna
Whatever.
be okay.
He was my stepdad, and I don't even see him anymore.
Right.
You changed dads in the middle of your life. You don't get to complain about the stadium.
Right.
That's funny. We talk a lot about The Bachelor on the podcast, or we have.
Oh yeah. Do you watch The Bachelor at all?
I don't. I watched one season and I can't watch that show because I watched it as a single person and I just hated it so much because I'm like, I would be such a better candidate than all of these people. And I'm like watching it, I'm like, she's not even funny. Like I'm like so aggravated with the women on this show where I'm
got
just
to
like,
apply.
I know, or I want to be the Bachelorette, where I'm like, oh yeah, I'd have like, it'd be so fun, and it'd be this, and it'd be that. But I'm also the biggest emotional sap you'll ever meet. So this is a perfect example.
That might be good ratings.
Well, I have absolutely no investment in the Marvel universe. Okay, I have seen a couple. I always enjoy the movies when we see them. Literally, right before I came on here, my boyfriend was like, hey, we're going to finish this ending of Infinity War or whatever. Not the last one, the second to last one. And I'm sobbing. I'm like crying. And I'm like, I've been watching this show for 30 minutes. I don't know any of the people's backstories. But it's just so I know that I'd be like, let's keep it lighthearted and fun. But I'd also be the bitch who cried every episode. Like, I can't believe I'm in love with 4 people. They didn't think it'd be this hard.
That's great. Well, I have a similar frustration when I watch it of like not a single one of them goes like, I don't know if I like this guy yet. Like,
oh my God, he's so in love. I knew from the moment I saw him. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, they pick hot people, but there's a lot of people that you just don't mesh with.
Well, what we like about this season, one is that we know somebody on it, someone that Andrew had been, who had dated, and then she is that way. She's great. She's like, she's like moderate about him initially. And she was like, hey, you guys are being jerks, so maybe don't be jerks.
They started a rumor that there was like they had like some new girls show up in the middle of the season and just to fuck with them. And then one of the old girls started a rumor that the new girl was actually a hooker or whatever. And so that was like spreading around the house that they were all like, oh, this hooker over here. And she was the only one to be like, hey, that's kind of rude. And that could we're on television and that could ruin her career.
Life. She could get fired. Like if she, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless she's a hooker and then, it's good for business. But yeah, she's been sort of the hero. So she's rumored to be the next Bachelorette, but we'll see.
Oh, that's awesome. Good for her.
And the reason I partly brought it up too was that one of the people rumored to win this season got in trouble for in college going to like plantation days or whatever it's called and like dressing in the plantation gown and Confederate flag flying and the whole thing. And so a lot of people I'm sure are like, ugh, we're gonna take away our traditional part, and it's like, yeah, I mean, this is 100 years overdue.
Right.
Like,
I don't see a problem with it. Of course, you're right.
Well, it's like, yeah, no, why would you? Like, you're the one, dude. And it's not to say people can't change or but if they did, they wouldn't feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, or grow or whatever. But yeah, I totally get that.
Wow. Well, and then the rebranding too. Like, there's the Aunt Jemima stuff or whatever, and I don't really care too much. I don't think a lot of people really cared about that. First of all, I don't think a lot of Black people were upset about that.
Here's an
know?
interesting thing. They called
like-
it the whatever the milling company or whatever, but they said on the labels, "Same great ain't Jemima taste." And I was like,
really?
"Well, what? I don't know."
That
if-
might just be a transitional phase, though, where
I
they're just
know,
like, we
but,
got to
you
make
know.
sure they know it's ours, and then a
I
year from now they won't
understand
use it anymore.
why they did it, but I
Milk
just
chop- it's transitioning. Milk chop.
yeah.
that
Mrs.
later.
Buttersworth transitioned into
But like people, like companies rebrand all the time for
Right.
non socially conscious positive reasons, just for money.
Right.
yeah.
100%.
I mean, the
for money.
Seahawks Stadium name has changed like 7 times in the last couple
Yeah, yeah.
years. So
And none of these folks are like, what you're you know.
Well,
No
but
more
in
food
Cleveland
brand.
they do. I don't know if you guys hold on to that shit, but a lot of Clevelanders. So in the '90s, through that whole like Omar Vizquel phase and like the tribe in the '90s, they were playing at Jacobs Field, and everyone would call it the Jake. And then so people have those fond memories of that great team, and it's very nostalgic. And so when they renamed it Progressive Field, everyone was like, it's still the Jake, but I'll never call it the and like so people like there's full-blown t-shirts that say like it'll always be the Jake. And like so I don't know if that's a Cleveland thing where we're just so opposed to change.
there are no t-shirts like it used to be the Clink. It was the Clink, and it was always the Clink. It was
Yeah.
always Quest Field, you know.
That's what's funny too. Of like, okay, so did anybody, even though Progressive is just an auto insurance company, did anybody like misinterpret
Yes.
like it trying to be progressive?
We get that joke all the time where it's like it's funny that the most racist mascot is at Progressive Field.
Oh,
We're
right.
like,
But
yeah,
I mean,
we
did
get
any
it.
idiots actually think like,
I don't
That was
think
on
so.
purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Progressive is headquartered in Cleveland.
all right,
Okay.
so that makes
So with that, we knew what that was.
You'd be
you
have to
know,
pretty
but-
dense, I
Yeah,
think.
you are
to-
dense.
Yeah. With the name, we're
With
just
the
like
the
All right,
fucking.
let's see if you get this reference. I don't know how young you would have been. Were you one of Grady's ladies?
I was in high school during Grady's Ladies, and actually, my high school cheerleading coach, her best friend in college, married Travis Hafner.
Okay.
Okay, so we were all in high school, and we knew that my cheerleading coach was going to Travis Hafner's wedding, and all of us like 14 and 15-year-old girls were like, "Oh my God, are you gonna meet Grady Sizemore? Are you gonna meet?" And of course, they're teammates, so you know, she was like, she's so not that person, like not a fangirl. She's not like a jersey chaser or anything like that. But she specifically told us that she like got a picture with him so she could come in and show us like,
That's
yes,
fun.
I met Grady Sizemore. Yes, you 14-year-old girls are losing your mind right now. But yeah, I was too young to like take it seriously, but he was
Sure.
like the heartthrob, you know.
The Grady Sizemore, I went to high school with him and played Little League with him and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I was not. And then he went to UW.
You mean he played and you watched from the
Yeah,
bench?
I watched
a
from the
lot. Yeah, yeah.
Tearaway. So he was on cover of Sports Illustrated, like next big 5-tool player. Had a couple great seasons, then injuries and stuff. So Andrew, I don't know if you know Grady Sizemore, but
No, I just Googled Grady's Ladies and it pulled up that the founder was murdered and
Yeah, there was like a whole scandal behind it, and like her husband murdered her boyfriend or something, murdered her or something. It was like
so it's
really.
Corey's turn to bring down the podcast. It's good.
Yeah, we're all doing it. It's fine.
all good. It makes sense.
so they were like.
I was like, I have a dead dad. Andrew's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if I want to do
I have a
comedy
dead
anymore.
career,
And yeah,
so, yeah.
and you're like, hey, this lady I know died.
Well, on that note. Well, you're great. It's very, very funny and fun to have on the podcast, obviously. And we've never actually like talked other than I searched email to find this email that I just sent.
Yes, I did that today
realized-
too.
I realized I didn't know I had sent that. I didn't realize that was you, I guess.
Literally getting ready for this podcast. So I came to Seattle area in late 2019. I think it was like October of 2019. And I must have posted on a group on Facebook or something like, hey, if anybody has any info, I have a couple days off yet. Because I had a run. I was doing the Portland Helium with Dan Cummins one weekend, Thursday to Saturday. And then I had a couple of winery shows in Oregon, like Monday. It was like Sunday and Wednesday. So I was like, if I can come out to Seattle the weekend before, I can just rent a car, drive down, do a little 8-day run, and then fly out of Portland. And so I'm guessing I posted that somewhere in Facebook because I saw your email with all this, and I was like, I didn't even respond. Like, what a bitch. Like, I don't know if I just didn't see it in time or something, but then I never connected 2 and 2 that we sent that email chain before.
Mary is my manager, actually. So that's
Yeah.
interesting on this.
Those were actually gigs for you that you never got.
Sorry, I was trying to give them away to a cute girl. Sorry, Andrew.
I lose most of my gigs.
Yeah, I didn't put it together till 3 hours ago, and then I was like, oh yeah, there's my email that I sent because I would like, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, you just search the name and then it pops up. Yeah, well, I didn't really know anybody out there. I still don't. Like, I don't know that I could name any Seattle comics other than you guys. And Andrew, I met you accidentally through that Coast to Coast roast thing. And that's how I met Monica too. Yeah. And then like we've just kind of stayed connected on social media. But yeah, I definitely
will you do your roast jokes again? Can you pull them up? Do you have
my
at least
my Seattle roast jokes?
Yeah.
I don't think I have them anymore. I know that last one.
Yeah,
I know the one.
Even if you just knew the one.
Let me see real quick if I have them still.
And while you're looking for that,
you got third place,
Mary
right?
Santora.
You got fourth.
Oh man.
Mary Santora on the socials.
Mary Santora comedy on Instagram. Mary_Santora on Twitter.
There you go. And you got to come. Well, when things open back up more, come out and we know more now, so we can.
We'll ignore your email this time.
Hell yeah, dude. No, I don't have it anymore. The one that I had, because we were facing each other in.
This was a battle. Yeah, this was the final 4 of an NCAA bracket.
Yes.
The winner advances to the final. The loser battles for 3rd or 4th place.
Right. So, and being from Cleveland, I know it doesn't mean anything. And like whoever watched that thing watched it, but like we beat New York, we beat Chicago, like we beat out these like big comedy cities, and it felt really good to do that, But that was big for me too. That was like some pride on our name. You know what I mean? I think you guys beat out LA. Like you guys knocked LA out.
We beat everybody but Minneapolis.
Well, and the reason why
the funniest thing is the George Floyd murder happened a week after and I was like, no, we had so much more material,
Dude, when that happened, I know, I mean, obviously you're flooded with emotions and everything, but I'm like, I was so glad because I was like watching comics just destroy themselves trying to make jokes about that. Like it was, I was very glad that happened when it did.
As someone who lost to Minneapolis, I was like, that would have been great material,
Dude, it turned me into that whole roast battle. So what it was each city would roast another city. So like I didn't roast Andrew, I roasted the city of Seattle and he roasted the city of Cleveland. It turned me into such a bad person because I'm looking up, like I'm Googling worst rapists in history to see if they happen to be from one of the, and then when it comes up and I'm like, oh shit, they're from New York. Like I'm mad that they didn't fit what I needed for my jokes. It was it was stressful too. I get so stressed out writing short form jokes like that because I want it's such a setup punch that I feel like every word matters, so I get stressed myself out.
It was also over Zoom and you're like, I don't know
Zoom
who's
was
watching.
New. Yes.
Yeah.
And it was like
a brand new thing.
I didn't really know what was going on. And like, it was a very stressful thing. It was fun.
Every week I had a new technology set up. I was like, is this sound better? Is this, I don't know. I don't know anything. Now I'm like, I got my home studio set up. I got everything ready to go.
Well, yeah, dude. But it was so nerve wracking too. But the joke that almost won. I think we were like 48-52 after I told this joke. It was so close because I think you had a lot of Seattle people in the audience too that cut me a lot of slack. But I said, the Seattle Mariners are the only Major League Baseball team who have never been to a World Series. The only thing left hanging longer than their fans was Chris Cornell. It's so bad. And here's the thing. In a roast show, that's okay. I would never just show up in Seattle and tell that joke. You know what I mean?
I think you should. I think you literally should. I think you should open on that when you get a headline weekend at the Underground.
At the premise of the show being, let's be as mean as we can. Yes, I'm going to do that.
Maybe not open with it, but maybe the closer or something like that. I think the mood of Seattle people towards the Mariners is that awful that they would applaud and give you a standing ovation for the joke.
Well, I've thought about it, and I'm like, because I feel like when you write a joke about a person or you write a joke about a place,
Right.
I truly think that you're a pussy if you don't do it in front of that person, or if you don't
You're
do it
punching
at that.
up. It's a
Right.
it's $1 billion baseball team.
Right. So like,
Also, if they don't like the joke, they could make the playoffs once in a while.
Right.
Like
So I've actually thought about that, where I was like, if I were in Seattle, I would preface it and I would say, do you guys want to hear the meanest joke I've ever wrote? Like, because it might be the meanest
go.
joke I've ever written, you know?
But see, here's the problem I have with polling the audience, because it's like polling America. 60% of people aren't even gonna vote. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like when you go like, do you want to hear clean or dirty? It's like obviously
They don't
dirty's gonna
care.
win because they're gonna
Right.
shout the loudest.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I mean that's
But-
fine to preface it, but
She's not gonna not do it if they go no. Like
yeah, exactly.
you're just doing it to have them.
To have a cushion
prepare
so
them.
they
That's
know
right.
how
You're
mean
right.
it is. I'm going to do the
Almost.
joke.
Right.
Right.
You're
But I need you to know
that's fair.
that this is what's coming. Because if you just throw that out of left field, that is a recipe for refunds. That's people want their money back. Who's this bitch talking about my city? Like, you know what I mean?
When the
So-
Mariners get thrown out from left field, people ask for a refund all the time.
There he is, Andrew Rivers, everybody. Bringing us full circle.
Well, it was wonderful having you, Andrew. If you want to hear more jokes like that, he is Andrew J. Rivers on all of the socials.
Subscribe on YouTube. That's the only important one.
That's the one he wants. All right. Corey Michaelis comedy on all the things. And Mary Santora comedy on Instagram, Mary_Santora on Twitter. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, glad to have you. We'll hit stop recording and chat with you briefly.
Okay.